Okay, today we're going to look at the RISPacs scheduler and a few of the items that are associated with it. First of all, up at the top here, you'll see there's an option for RIS settings. This will allow you to adjust various different settings that are related to RIS functionality. Most of these options will allow you to add new entries into the system, such as diagnosis codes, procedure codes, fee schedules, financial types, medical aid listings, and a few others. But for now, what we'll be looking at is the actual scheduler work list, as well as the study types and study type settings, which is closely tied to the scheduler work list. So let's take a quick look at what it looks like. Over here you can see a normal work list. I'm just going to change to the schedule type. And this allows us to see a calendar-based work list, which has our list of ordered studies here at the top. And at the bottom we have a scheduling book, which allows us to schedule different appointments at different times. In the main section over here, you can see that we have added two separate resources to our facility. This would be the X-ray machine, and this would be the mammo machine. You can add any number of resources to your facility through the imaging facility settings. So I can schedule appointments separately for the X-ray machine and for the mammo, possibly a CT, MRI, whatever resources you have in your facility, you can do that. At present, my view is set to view the current day, and as I scroll down, you can see that the day goes from beginning to end on both modalities, both resources. I can choose any day that I would like to see from the calendar entry over here. I can choose the day before, I can choose the week after. You can see that the day changes on both of them. I can also change the view to view the entire week at once, which will show the week for both of these resources. Obviously, nothing currently booked at the moment. I can change also to view the time grid. This would allow you to view all of the appointments in a horizontal manner from left to right if you'd prefer. We can also change to a different weekly view, which allows us to see each of the individual days for both of the resources. And there are appointment slots for each of the entries that are listed here. Additionally, we can change to the monthly view if we'd like to see an entire month of information. And if you toggle the Show Relevant Resources star button, it will only show you the most relevant information that you need to see. I'm going to keep that untoggled at the moment. Okay, so going back to our daily view, here we have some settings to adjust the time scale. Currently it's set to 15 minutes, so that every entry is separated at 15 minutes. You can change that from 5 to 30 minutes. We can also jump to a particular date, or if I'm already on a different date, I can click on today, which will bring me back to today's date. Additionally, if you'd like to see an additional month ahead, you can simply drag this window downwards, which will open up the next month for you to view as well. Currently, I'm viewing a list of 5 different studies that have been ordered, but not yet scheduled. In order to schedule a study that has already been ordered, I would simply need to first pick the date on which I would like to schedule the study. Let's say that this study will be scheduled for the 13th. You see the date has changed to the 13th. I'd like to schedule the study for 1 p.m. You can then simply click and hold and drag that study into the 1 p.m. slot. That ordered study has now been scheduled. You see that the status has changed to scheduled, and it now appears on the calendar at 1 p.m. on the 13th of August. If you've made a mistake, you can simply click, hold, and drag this appointment to any other time slot. Perhaps I've made a mistake with the actual day. It shouldn't have been on the 13th, it should have been on the 14th. I can then change to the weekly view and simply drag this appointment to the same time slot on the 14th. Or, if the date is further away, I can simply go back to the day view, click on 14th, hold the control key, click on another date. You see now I have the 14th and the 21st. I can then just drag it to the 21st. Easy as that. If this appointment was not supposed to be scheduled, I can right-click and say, need to reschedule. Click on OK, and the study will jump back to the ordered work list. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule this appointment for the 11th at 4 p.m. Also take note that these crossed out lines show time that has passed, and you're no longer able to schedule appointments for the past. This red arrow shows you what the current time is at the moment. So now this study has been scheduled, the status has been changed to scheduled. I can also then confirm with the patient beforehand, If they are aware of their appointment, if they're on their way, I can right-click on that entry in the calendar and click on Confirmed, saying that the patient has now confirmed that they will be there for that appointment, and the status has now changed to confirmed. Once the patient has arrived, I can then click on that entry and say Arrived, notifying everybody that the patient has now arrived and is in the waiting area or ready to be processed. I also have the option to cancel the appointment if the patient cancelled with notice, meaning that they would have cancelled ahead of time, or if the patient was a no-show, meaning that the patient just didn't show up for the appointment, but time will then have passed that appointment slot, meaning that I couldn't reschedule another appointment for that same slot. Okay, so we've had a look at how to schedule appointments that have already been ordered. Let's take a look now how to order a new appointment. I can simply click on this icon at the top here to create a new order. This will open up the new order window. In this window, you would first begin by looking for the particular patient who you would like to create an order for. You then need to select the particular imaging facility, any referring physicians that need to be added to this patient study, as well as any other additional consulting physicians that would also need to be added into the study. After that, we can move to the right-hand side, which shows us the study type section and the reasons for study section, where you would input your ICD-10 codes if you have them now. I will go further into what study types are, but for now, I'm just going to add the entry at the moment. So I've just selected a chest and ribs exam. You can put the insurance status or authorization number, but here the start date and end date. This is the time period in which I would like the appointment to be scheduled. So if I choose from today the 11th until next week the 20th, I'm saying that I would like the appointment to be scheduled within this window. If the scheduler or admin person tries to schedule the appointment outside of this window, they will receive a warning saying that they are trying to schedule the appointment outside of the window. Are they really sure that they want to do that? But once I've added all my information, I can then click on OK. And we can see that my new entry appears here at the top. I can then drag that appointment down and schedule it for somewhere. And the status has changed to scheduled for 4:30. Now, to better understand study types, I'm going to go to RIS settings and study types. Essentially what a study type is a container in which multiple procedure codes are contained. So that if I add the study type to a study, all of the associated procedure codes inside that study type will automatically be added into that study instead of me having to add every single procedure code. Some studies require 10 or more procedure codes or however many they might need. Instead of me having to add each individual one, I can simply add the study type. All of the procedure codes will then be added. I can then individually remove one or two or add an additional one or two if I wanted. This saves a massive amount of time and prevents, unnecessary errors. So on the study that I just ordered, I put the chest and ribs study type, meaning that because I've done that, both of these procedure codes will have been added into that study automatically. So let's quickly go and take a look. I'm going to right click on that study, go to study information. And you can see here that there are already both of those procedure codes added into that study simply because I added the study type. And in order to add your own study types, you would simply need to go to study types, click on new, give all the details for the study type that you require, and then add individual procedure codes to box into that study type so that when you load that study type, all of the procedure codes will automatically be assigned. And finally, I've also created a work list which allows me to see any upcoming appointments for tomorrow or for the entire week ahead. Let's take a look at that quickly. So I would just change this to the weekly view, move this appointment to tomorrow, and then I'm going to change the work list to the upcoming appointments, and it then shows me that entry in the list, showing me the date and the time of when the appointment is. I can then prepare any necessary documents, possibly contact the patient again to see if they are aware of their appointment. Once I have contacted them and they have confirmed that they'd be coming, we can change the status to confirmed. And once they have arrived, we can then change the status to arrived, and we can process the list how we want. And the date range for this is customizable. I can view tomorrow or the next 7 days or the next 30 days, however much you would like to see, really. And with that, we will close the brief overview of the scheduler work list. Thank you very much.